Marhaba, and welcome to the Matrix Green Pill, where real people connect.
Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm Hilmarie Hutchison, and today I am so excited to welcome our guest of the week, Sarmistha Mitra. Sarmistha is the founder and CEO of the Wellbeing Sanctuary, pioneers holistic healing through Decodeyou, unlocking the subconscious for self-mastery. With a transpersonal psychology background, she empowers individuals to unravel their potential, fostering mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. Wow, how exciting. Let's dive right in. Sarmistha, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me for this episode of Green Pill.
So to start off, could you please tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
When I was growing up as a kid, when my friends were thinking they're going to become a computer scientist or they're going to become engineers and doctors, I was only thinking how I'm going to get married and have a family, which I did. I found my husband when I was 17 years old. I got married when I was 24 and I had my son when I was 26. And life went on until something happened, which changed me completely to become this person that I am today.
Wow, that sounds intriguing. Let me ask you then, what inspired you to delve into the field of transpersonal psychology and holistic healing?
So what I realized while I was going through my own emotional crisis, my sorrow, my joy, and everything that comes together in life, and then my whole purpose as a homemaker was to bring up my son and get him ready for the world. And while he was in grade 8 and there were only 4 years left for him until he would leave home, my anxiety started to develop because I would be purposeless. I would have nothing to do after he leaves home. I have only one son. And then it just struck me to know myself better and discover myself. And I delved into different studies. I started my journey as a clinical hypnotherapist. It gave me some knowledge about the mind and the body and the soul connection. I understood that why I'm feeling threatened at this moment. My anxiety is the response of a threat. And how I can take care of myself. What can I do to overcome this time when I am feeling threatened and uncomfortable? And this discomfort is causing the stress and the anxiety. So slowly I started to delve into the mind and the behavior and the responses that people give when they perceive threat. And then my journey started and nothing felt like, okay, now I know. Every time I completed one study, I wanted to do another one to help me understand a little bit more deeper into the human mind, human psyche, human behavior, and everything that we are, the miracle that we are.
Amazing. So from starting out life with a very clear mind of wanting to be a homemaker, meeting a partner at such a young age at 17, and then approaching this empty nest stage of your life where you started suddenly realizing, wow, I need to deal with what's coming next. You then started delving into these different studies to understand yourself better and also how to deal with these emotions. Is that sort of right? Did I get that?
Absolutely. So I was anticipating a crisis. So I took preventative measures.
Excellent. Then what led you to the Wellbeing Sanctuary and to establishing the Wellbeing? Because I'm thinking this journey of yours is what led you to establishing the Wellbeing Sanctuary.
Yeah, when I was delving into the science of the mind and understanding the connection between the body and the responses of the body and how that transforms into the behavior, functional behaviors and dysfunctional behaviors, and how it is so easy to understand ourselves. The Decodeyou program, which I created, is 100% preventative program where you can identify from before your threats so that you can control the responses and become a master of your life. And that came together slowly when I was delving into the psyche of other people and helping people, like over the period of now more than a decade that I'm practicing in Dubai as a holistic psychologist. It was so intriguing. Every person came with a little piece of that puzzle, to me. And I found that puzzle and I put it in that bigger picture, which I was creating in my mind. And finally, everything fell in peace. It fell in place. And when Decodeyou came into form, then I realized that I am being guided. Somehow, there was this thought of opening a center and starting to educate people, train people in this art, which I have acquired.
Fantastic. So Decodeyou came first and then you followed it by opening the Wellbeing Sanctuary.
Exactly.
How does your approach at the Wellbeing Sanctuary differ from traditional healing methods?
It is completely different because you will identify What is your threat? The threat is not the person who is in front of your job or a situation. The threat is actually our inability to feel certain emotions. So when we identify those emotions which we are feeling threatened to feel and accept ourselves when we're feeling it, the body immediately triggers this stress responses. And that is the cause of all the dysfunctions. Now we need to control the stress responses by a defense mechanism. So the autopilot of flight and fight, running away or fighting it, gets activated and we get into trouble. So we can avoid all of that by learning ourselves, discovering our mind, and to lead us proactively to the path of self-mastery, not when we are in crisis, that when we are seeking help. When everything is fine, that is the time to really understand yourself, because then your rational mind, your judgment, everything is clear. It's not clouded by the threat responses.
That is amazing. So our traumas that we have in maybe our younger years then creates this inability for us to feel certain emotions, maybe suppress them, which then leads to the stress response and then the actions we take. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, because we don't have the understanding of trauma. We think that trauma has to be something big and huge, impacting our life. But in the childhood, the trauma that every child feels and is threatened is with this feeling when they feel unloved or when they feel rejected. And every one of us, we have felt it. When our parents were absent, or they were busy, or they delayed their attention for whatever important that they were doing, we felt unloved, we felt rejected, we felt denied. And that is the first trauma of every child.
That's really interesting. It did not have to be a huge event.
It is never a huge event. Only in few rare cases that people do go through those huge events. But the other cases, in general, the other 99% of the population are still responding from the other trauma, which is feeling unloved.
That's amazing. And you discovered all of this through all the research and the study you were doing?
Absolutely. And this is, such an amazing feeling. You can just see the whole picture and put the pieces together, and it's like solving the mystery. It's like cracking the code.
Honestly, every single person should have an appointment with you by the sounds of things.
I seriously feel that it's about knowing yourself first and knowing that when you felt unloved, that is that feeling or that point of threat is stored in our subconscious. So you can never run away from it. It's there. The next time, even as an adult today, if that feeling, that point of threat is triggered by someone who is in front of you, who is a new person altogether, but you will feel equally threatened, feeling unloved.
You mentioned Decodeyou, and that's where it all started. So can you maybe explain a little bit more for our listeners the core principles of Decodeyou and the Decodeyou program and its role in achieving self-mastery?
The Decodeyou program, the basis has like two foundations. One is a worldview, which people have to change the worldview through which they have been looking into their world and change it to the worldview of Decodeyou. That is the first foundation. And the second is the mind model, which I created. The mind model wants people to understand that this is the mind model from which we function from our childhood, and how those stored memories of feeling unloved is just getting triggered, and how we are responding to it today is causing the dysfunction. Then we can reverse all of it.
That sounds fantastic. Now, how does achieving self-mastery impact an individual's personal and professional life?
In every aspect of your life. For example, personal life, if you are not threatened by the trigger of that feeling, then your body will not create those stress responses. And when the stress responses are not created, then the stress hormone, cortisol and adrenaline will be regulated in the body, and we will have more of dopamine and other happy hormones in the body, and we will maintain a state of calm and composure in our reaction to our outer world. Our relationships are going to be more healthy and harmonious because we will not be threatened by the person in front of us, whether it's at work or it's in our personal life. Also, we will not be having those dysfunctional behaviors which can lead to addiction, can lead to other dysfunctions that is self-sabotaging and harming us, because addiction is a way to run away from that emotion that is triggered by the environment or someone in the environment. We can control and achieve so much if we learn and train ourselves in this program, I have a dream that the society one day will be that ultimate human society, not always threatened and getting into our animal instincts.
That would be absolutely fantastic if that could be achieved. For our listeners, I mean, as I said earlier, I mean this, everyone should have a session with you. How does that look? Is it a one session? Is it a series of sessions? How long does that take?
It's a program which, like it can reverse diseases also in the body. My clients did not have the patience to go through the program for 3 months, but because I have created the program, I have put myself in the program as well. And I have overcome hypothyroidism. These are hereditary diseases that comes from your parents. I had very low platelet count for many years, and then I got the trigger and I understood what is causing it, and my platelet counts got back to normal, all without medicine, but just being in the program and applying the principles of the program mindfully on a daily basis. So it has a huge scope, Decodeyou. I am looking for someone who would invest in this to do some research. So if we could do research on this and show the world the proof of what I am saying and validate it, then I'm sure people who don't know this program will have that confidence to come and enroll themselves in the program. I also got KHTA accreditation this year for this Decodeyou to become a professional training program so that I can teach people to become therapists as well and spread this all around the world.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That is a huge accomplishment. If someone wants to do the program, is it something you give them to do at home, or do they see you on a regular basis to implement?
So the program goes like this. One time they meet me for about 1.5 hours, or once a week for 5 weeks. That is by default. And after that, we meet once a month. And the whole program goes for 3 months in total. And at the end of the 3 months, it's my guarantee that the benefits and the results would be completely clear to the client.
That sounds phenomenal. That sounds really, really excellent. I do hope some of our listeners will be inspired to start the program with you.
Unless, I am also writing to Ministry of Health and Prevention to help them to understand the program and take it into the phase of research.
That would be the next step, to really understand the behind why these things.
The core values,
That makes absolute sense. Let's say somebody doesn't have the time or the budget, or for some reason they can't get to see you and implement the Decodeyou program. What are some principles or practices or habits that listeners can integrate into their daily lives to enhance their well-being?
There are a few phases of the Decodeyou program. The first is self-observation. The second stage is self-reflection. And the third is self-correction. So most of the time, I'm sure you will agree with me, we observe others, but we don't observe ourselves. The first thing I teach my students or my clients is how to learn to observe oneself. That you can do by monitoring your responses of threat and safety. Why and when do you get threatened and stressed and anxious? And why and when do you feel safe and calm and composed and peaceful? This would be the first cue to get into the state of self-observation. And then you have to sit in reflection, understand why did you feel threatened and why did you feel peaceful or calm. That's the reflection stage. And many points will now start fitting together and start making sense. And you will start to feel more confident about your observation. And the third stage is the self-correction. And the self-correction, people would not be able to do it on their own. For that, they need to learn the principles of Decodeyou, which they have to apply now in order to correct.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. So the self-observation, self-reflection, and then self-correction. But at that stage, as you say, you would need more information to know how to implement that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now we have come to the segment of our show where I'll ask you some rapid-fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm looking forward. Excited.
Tell us one common misconception people have about holistic healing.
First of all, most of the holistic healing is not research-backed, so they feel it won't work for them. So that is a very big pain point.
Yes, people can't see the research, so they think it's not going to work. So they just assume that from the get-go. And if you assume it from the get-go, if you don't believe it's going to heal, well, then it can't heal, can it?
Yeah, self-sabotaging. And also it creates a lot of resistance when they come to us.
Yes, that makes absolute sense. So almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Define holistic healing in 3 words.
connection between the mind, the body, and the soul. Whoever doesn't believe in the soul will not understand holistic healing.
What's one quote you live by?
I live by self-discovery is the way to transform pain into wisdom.
Oh, I love that. That's excellent. If you could grab a cup of coffee with anyone in the world, who would it be?
I would try to go back in time and sit with Edgar Cayce.
Oh, wow. Excellent. What is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
Meditate.
Thank you for playing along. That was easy enough. Now we have come to the segment of our show for the green pill moment. What was your green pill moment, the action or event that was the turning point for you or your career?
The empty nest. As I started the conversation in the beginning, if I didn't have a purpose in my life, I would be hitting rock bottom first, like everyone else, and then seeking help, anticipating something. There are certain events in our life which are inevitable, aren't they? Which we know are going to happen. But most of us, we wait till the last moment until that hits us on the face. My advocacy is preventative care. I have to take care of myself, and especially those things which are inevitable. We know they are coming. We can prevent the crisis up ahead. I did that when the empty nest was there, and before it hit me, took over the reins from my mind, and I created a path of purpose and mission for myself.
And in doing that, you then were able to create a path for other people and solutions and to help other people to benefit from your studies.
Absolutely. As if the rest was like I took that first step and the rest came one after the other.
Amazing. I love that. So you saw a problem for yourself, which then created a solution for other people. And thank you for that. I'm so sure all your patients, all your clients are so grateful that you took on this journey for yourself, because it's then benefiting them as well.
Absolutely. So that's what all of us are doing, aren't us? Like you are also doing this amazing job, which is a solution for you. But at the same time, it's providing solution for so many other people.
Well, thank you so much, Sarmistha, for joining me today and for sharing your incredible story. Your insights are truly inspiring, and I'm so certain our audience is going to really enjoy this conversation. Your advice will undoubtedly, and I hope, ignite their passion and drive to also make a transformation, create this preventative care in their own lives. Before we say goodbye, could you please tell our listeners where they can find and follow you? And we'll also put this in the show notes.
Yeah, the Wellbeing Sanctuary is situated in Al Safa 1, just at the service road of Sheikh Zayed Road next to Safa Park. We are on the second floor of the Madhu building. We are reachable on Google, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We are everywhere on all social media platforms. On social media platform, they'll find us as Your Wellbeing Sanctuary, because that's the domain name we are using. But on Google, they'll find us as The Wellbeing Sanctuary.
Okay, good that you clarified that. Thank you very much. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you and the Wellbeing Sanctuary all the very best.
Thank you so much.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.